Good morning. I want to start this morning by welcoming everybody. Thank you for being here for the very important work of the Texas Tech University System. The meeting of the Board of Regents of the Texas Tech University System is now called to order. The board will continue in open session and meet as a committee of the whole and a meeting of the board. Chancellor and President Mitchell, President May, President Skuvanek, and President Lang, will you please present your introductions and recognitions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'm going to have a couple of introductions for the Texas Tech University System. And these are two folks that make everybody in this room better than we usually are. And oftentimes we spend a lot of time patting each other on the backs about all the great things that are going on. But these things would never happen but for the work of the folks that I'm going to introduce. Where's David? Top tier. Okay. So we have the two introductions we have. First are Tasha Willis. There she is. Yay. Tasha's been with Top Tier Catering now for about 6 years. Before that, she was taking care of all the business students over at Rawls College of Business before coming here. And the second introduction is Sheila Golden Lee. Sheila's been with Top Tier for about 3 years, and she came to Lubbock, Texas from Georgia, and we were having a conversation about the Georgia Bulldogs and the LSU Tigers a little bit earlier. So for each of them, we have, as you all know, we have at the Health Sciences Center military coins that we use for different values, and each of them, we'd like to give each one of them a Beyond Service military coin.
Chancellor, I had an opportunity to speak to those two young ladies prior to the meeting started, and they were expecting BMWs.
I'm going to leave that to the large donors that we have on the board.
From Houston.
Yeah, from Houston. That's exactly right.
Let us know how that goes.
Along the same lines, when we think about the things that really make this system work well, at the university levels, again, we see things in the newspaper, we see how well we do, whether it's in our research areas, whether it's in our clinical areas, whatever it may be, but there's folks that are constantly working behind the scenes to make all these things possible. And we just recently had our SACS, the Southern Association of Colleges, the Council on Colleges, Southern Association of Schools, Colleges and...
Commission on Colleges.
Yeah, there we go. SACS COC, Southern Association...
Colleges, commissions on colleges.
There we go.
You should probably know that as Chancellor.
I've got people that know that.
Yes.
Anyway, when they came through, as you guys know, this is a multi-year process that you go through. And almost invariably when they come through, and you know, I've served on other site visits for other universities for SACS, and you invariably find things that you want somebody to adjust or work on or help. So for the second time, when SACS came through, we had no citations, none. And in addition to that, as they were leaving, the lead SACS vice president, Dr. Denise Young, said to me, we had no citations, we actually have no recommendations. And in fact, they were taking information of things that we have going on at the university with them because they were excited about some of the things that we do have going on. Now, I got all the credit for that, and I didn't do anything except show up and make sure that we have really good people doing it. And so we have the people here, first representing our academic units. We've got Dr. Stephen Burke. Stand up, Steve, School of Medicine. We've got Dr. Lori Rice Spearman, School of Health Professions. We've got Dr. Michael Evans with the School of Nursing. We have Dr. Teresa Bird, and she's standing in for Dr. Brant Schneider with the Graduate School. And Dr. Quentin Smith couldn't be here this morning with the School of Pharmacy, but the academic units are all obviously an integral part of making our SACS visits go well. In addition to that, We've got the people that make all of us look good, including our deans, and they're the people that really do the work. Dr. Raul Roth. Dr. Roth, stand up. He's Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, and the team that has worked with him, Dr. Carrie Dixon. Carrie. Associate VP for Academic Affairs, Leslie Collins, Senior Director. Katie Randolph. Katie's also Senior Director of Accreditation. And Brandy Hargrave, who is the Unit Manager of Academic Affairs, and she keeps all of them in line. So it's unusual for SACs to come by and give you no citations. It's exceptionally unusual for them to have no citations and no recommendations. So this is the team that did it. So that is all of my introductions. And then we're going to introduce our SGA officers a little bit later.
Yes,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman, can I take just a personal
Yes, sir.
moment? This is the benefit and the honor of being a Lubbock Regent. I know some of these people that Dr. Mitchell introduced this morning, and first of all, not to eliminate anybody, but Leslie Collins is a close family friend of ours. She grew up with one of my daughters from early on. Fabulous family, wonderful young lady, and she was the chief compliance officer of their little gang, so I'm not surprised that it worked. It extended to this day today. Leslie, bless you, wonderful work, and Dr. Spearman lives around the corner from us, and it's just been a fabulous friend, and what a beautiful, significant addition and role that she plays. And I just want to tell them how proud I am as a citizen of this community. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Hey, Chancellor, I appreciate your humility. One of the challenges when you said you wanted to be president and chancellor because you had the right team in place was really, could you execute on that? No greater testament. My hat's off to you, sir.
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you. President Skubnik.
Mr. Chairman, the first person I'd like to introduce is Dr. Elisa Wong. Dr. Wong is an associate professor in the Department of History, and she's also the associate dean in the Honors College. She was recently selected as a 2019 Piper Professor by the Minnie Stevens Piper Foundation, which recognizes superior teaching. She was one of 10 selected statewide. Dr. Wong is a very popular faculty member. She's known as a great advocate for students and a dynamic teacher. She has her hands in so many things, but one thing I would like to mention is one of her biggest undertakings, in which she was responsible for the launch of the Texas Liberator Project, which she developed with some Texas Tech students. It was created in conjunction with the Museum of Texas Tech University and the Texas Holocaust and Genocide Commission. It's a project that consisted of developing an educational app, a website, a book, and a traveling museum that's designed to share the story of 21 Texas veterans who helped to liberate the German concentration camps during World War II. That exhibit is currently touring the state, and this brought great notoriety to Tech, but also the due respect that we owed those liberators. Thank you, Dr. Wong. Next, I'd like to introduce Lindy Starr. Lindy has just concluded her service as Tech's 57th Masked Rider, and I was told that she made a record number of appearances as a Masked Rider, 323. I believe that because I saw her everywhere. She, including most recently at the Final Four in Minnesota. Her duties included caring for Phyllis Champion, but also when Phyllis Champion was injured last fall, she took care of Cody, who filled in and did a masterful job. She's an agricultural communications major from Mount Vernon, and she will graduate this weekend. And she will work as an assistant director of the Texas Tech Equestrian Center, and then one day will own and operate a promotional company for the equine industry. Thank you, Lindy, for all you've done. Next, I'd like to introduce John Brown. John Brown also has just concluded his time as one of the two students who appear as Raider Red. He made 241 appearances as Raider Red. You would see him also everywhere, many Texas Tech athletic events, including the College World Series in Omaha last summer, and it was at many of those games during our national title run in this recent tournament.
I don't think I ever saw him. So that reminds me of a story. There's this old boy from A&M sitting there, and he went to see this show. And the ventriloquist is the show. He's the act, and he's up there, and he's going on and on and on, and starts telling some jokes. And sure enough, after a while, he gets around to A&M jokes. And the A&M guy raised his hand and said, "Listen, I'm sick and tired of this. You know, A&M's a wonderful school. It's a great place to go to school, and I take offense." And the ventriloquist said, "Listen, I apologize. I didn't mean to make fun of you." He goes, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to that little guy on your leg." Proceed, President Skudenak.
It really is amazing how popular Raider Red is. When we had our Texas Tech System Day this summer, and I'm not sure who was there as Raider Red, but as we were walking through the hallways, it was John. There I was with Raider Red, and it was clear who people really wanted to see. John has said that representing the university as Raider Red has been the biggest honor of his life, and we're grateful for all you've done.
Yes.
Finally, I'm going to make some introductions related to our co-ed cheer squad and pom squad. They continue to win national championships, and I want to introduce some of those students and also those who are responsible for their success. First, I'd like to begin with Stephanie Rode. Stephanie is in her 16th year as the Spirit Program Director at Texas Tech University. She is the administrator to the cheer and pom squads, Raider Red, and the Mass Rider program, and serves as the chairperson for the Mass Rider Advisory Committee. During her tenure, they have won several national championships and other accolades, such as the Capital One Mascot of the Year back in 2012. Stephanie, we appreciate your dedication, your enthusiasm, and the standards that you bring to our cheer and pom squads.
Yes.
Bruce Beals. Bruce Beals is in his 9th year as head cheer, stunt, and mascot coach, and 17th year overall with the Spirit program. He led the co-ed cheer squad to the program's first national championship in 2017 and again this spring. In 2018, Bruce was named the College Stunt Association Division I Coach of the Year. Bruce is a Texas Tech graduate and is currently working on an interdisciplinary master's degree. Bruce, we are so appreciative to have someone of your caliber and passion leading our cheer program. And finally, I'd like to ask 4 students to stand. Daylon Kirschling, Will Arnett, Lauren Lind, and Haley West. Daylon and Will are members of the co-ed cheer squad, which recently won the co-ed cheer national championship in Daytona Beach, Florida. The championship is the second for the team after winning its first championship in 2017. Lauren and Haley are members of the four-time national champion Pom Squad. The team won national championships in the Jazz Division in 2017 and 18 and claimed back-to-back championships in Pom in 2018 and 19. These Spirit squads are a tremendous source of pride for the university and our athletics programs, and we're so grateful to have students who represent this university and are such wonderful advocates for Texas Tech. And that concludes my introductions.
Thank you, President Skubanek. And I'd like to add on, thank you for your leadership in both cheer and palm. My wife is I would say, a rabid fan, and I've watched your performances, and I think we gloss over the word national champion, but you guys are recognized, and if the audience doesn't know this, they are the team nationally. I mean that. They are the team nationally. They are well coached and highly respected nationwide for what they do. And so that's an honor to the leadership that we have that consistently brings that kind of quality. So thank you very much for that. President Lane?
Yes.
Sure. Lawrence, any more? I just want to complete a story that Ted started. That's right. It has nothing to do with ventriloquists or dummies. Ted had mentioned that their SAC COC accreditation occurred without any citations and no recommendations. But that's actually the second one in the system, because ours had done it as well. But here's why I'm saying that, is it would not have happened without the transition team that is sitting right there. They're the foundation of our successful accreditation. So they've not done it once, they've actually done it twice. And so I just want to say thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Do you want to add on to that, President May?
No, I'm not going to interrupt anybody. I prefer to let them finish their introductions, but yes, we had no recommendations.
He's standing there going, me. So, thank you. That was a nice way to finish that. The board will continue in open session and meet as a committee of the whole and a meeting of the board. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting held on February 21st and 22nd, 2019, and March 21st, 2019?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We will now consider items as a committee of the whole, and I would ask the vice chairman to preside over the committee of the whole. Vice Chairman Lewis.
The item is consideration of the consent agenda. Items A through T is listed on pages 1 through 27 of the agenda book, and the information agenda is listed on pages 28 through 31. Is there any discussion of these items in either the consent or information agendas? As a reminder, if there is an item that you would like discussed further detail or voted on separately from the consent agenda, you may request that the item be moved to the committee of the whole agenda. Any discussion? Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the consent agenda and acknowledge its review of the information agenda.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion passes. Mr. Lewis?
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the items to be considered by the committee of the whole at this time.
Thank you, Regent Lewis. The board will now continue in meeting of open session and continue with reports of the standing committees. Regent Hammonds, will you present items for consideration by action from the Audit Committee?
Mr. Chairman, the Audit Committee of the Board met in open session on Thursday, May 16, 2019, and considered item 1 as presented on pages A1 through A3 of the agenda book. I request the following report be considered and approved. Item 1, TTUS Report on Audits.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Audit Committee.
Thank you, Regent Hammonds. Regent Long, will you present the items for consideration or action of the Facilities Committee?
Mr. Chairman, the Facilities Committee of the Board met in open session on Thursday, May 16, 2019, considered items 1 through 9 as presented on pages F1 through F21 of the agenda book. I request that all items be considered and approved as a group. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends approval of these items as presented, and I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Facilities Committee.
Thank you, Regent Long. Regent Walker, please present the items for consideration for action by the Finance and Administration Committee.
The Finance and Administration Committee of the Board met in open session on Thursday, May 16th, 2019, to consider item 1 presented on pages FA1 through FA2 of the agenda book. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends approval of the item as presented, and I so move.
Do you hear a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, Regent Walker. Regent Steinmetz, would you present the items for consideration for action by the Academic, Clinical, and Student Affairs Committee?
Yes, sir. The Academic and Clinical and Student Affairs Committee met in open session on Thursday, May 16, 2019, to consider items 1 through 7 as presented on ACS 1 through 11 of the agenda book. I request that all items be considered and approved as a group. Item number 1, ACU approved the addition of the Masters of Athletic Training degree with a major in athletic training in the Archer College of Health and Human Sciences. Item 2, Angelo State University approved the addition of a Master's of Science degree in Educational Leadership with Principal Certification in the College of Education. Item 3, Texas Tech University approved appointments with tenure as amended. Item 4, Texas Tech University approve emeritus appointments. Item 5, Texas Tech Health Science Center approve appointments with tenure. Item 6, Texas Tech Health Science Center approve conferral of honorary degree. Item 7, Texas Tech Health Science Center El Paso approve conferral of an emeritus appointment. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends the approval as presented, and I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Academic, Clinical, and Student Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Regent Steinmetz. We will continue meeting as a committee of the whole and a meeting of the board. Ben, please present the schedule of upcoming board meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next regularly scheduled meeting is August 8th and 9th. We soon, though, will be bringing forward a schedule of meetings for the next year, 2020, and that will be provided shortly.
Thank you, Ben. Today, we'll be hearing from each of our universities about their admissions policies. We'll begin today with Angelo State University. Dr. May?
Hopefully, we can get it up. I have one slide. Well, that's Texas Tech.
Go ahead and do mine.
Go ahead and do Lawrence's.
It will be a little faster than he usually. No.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, is it on the screen?
There it is. There you go. Yes, sir.
Ah, there it is. As presented yesterday, what I've done is I've collapsed all of our admission policies into this slide to just give a brief overview. Each admission has a test score and transcript submitted for each student that's admitted throughout the university, regardless of which school is going into, whether it's an undergraduate school, graduate school, professional schools. These test scores are evaluated, and many times attached to a rubric. However, we also have an automated, as in the second bullet point, if they meet the guaranteed admission, then they are automatically admitted through those test scores and transcripts submitted. And then subsequent to that, well, we're having technical difficulties, but we continued to look at, in the professional schools for nursing school and physical therapy, if the rubric score is high enough, then it's submitted to reviews by faculty panels as well as interviews. And then we feel with all of these in place that we do have the safeguards to protect against any kind of fraud or any kind of bribes or nefarious acts that would cause a student to be unfairly admitted to Angelo State University. I also would like to point out that our athletics are subject to the same rules as our general population of students, and so there's no cohorts that are treated differently regardless of the student's application. And Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
Thank you. Bring that up, Dr. Skubinik. There we go.
Mr. Chairman, I have 3 slides here that summarize our admissions process and review. We have one category called assured admissions. And I first would begin by noting that all of the requirements are published in our catalog, both in print and online, and through a website in the undergraduate admissions. For freshmen, you're automatically admitted if you're in the top 10% of your class, or you have a minimum score of 1180 on the SAT and 24 on the ACT. For transfers, you're automatically admitted if you have 12 hours and a GPA of 2.5. For those transfers that don't, they're considered under the same criteria as freshmen. For those students who don't meet the assured admission standards, there's a more holistic process. And a file is available for every one of those students that would include a lot of information, including letters of recommendation, essays, and that is evaluated by an undergraduate admission staff member. They'll look at things like academics, performance, and rigor. Rigor would mean something like, do they have AP courses, dual credit, their test scores, extracurricular activities, leadership experiences, and so on. And they make a recommendation of either admit, waitlist, or deny. And then that goes to an administrative review committee who reviews the file for a second time and makes a decision. What waitlist means is sometimes a student may not get in, but they'll retake the SAT, or they'll to take some extra courses that improve their GPA and that sort of thing. For transfers who don't have a 2.0 cumulative GPA, they're reviewed by the very same standards as the freshmen who are under the review process. And finally, I would just point out that every year we review the processes in place. So Tech will do that, looking at their OPs and procedures, as well as the standards by the National Association for College Admissions Counseling and then the American Association of Collegiate Registrars. And they regularly conduct audits to make sure that there are no discrepancies in student records. That's done through an automatic process, and if there is and they're flagged, they go back and review those. For student athletes, enrollment management will meet often with athletics and NCAA compliance. Those meetings include the faculty liaison, the registrar's office, financial aid, and enrollment management. And in response to the governor's concerns about the recent admission problems, they conducted a review of all student athletes that were admitted between 2011 and 19. There were a little over 1,300 of those, to make sure that everything was in order, and it was. That concludes my presentation.
Questions?
Is the primary reason someone has not accepted the SAT score?
Well, if you don't meet the minimum, or you're not top 10%, you have to look at other conditions, items as I mentioned. But those are the guaranteed, the automatic admissions standards. And many students will be admitted who aren't in that assured admissions group.
Do you have an idea of what percentage that is?
That's a very good question, Regent Hammonds, and I don't, as to how many go through the assured as opposed to the review. And I'll find out, and I'll get that to you and the rest of the board.
And do you know how many we wind up that make application that we wind up not accepting?
Well, so this year we have a bit over 25,000 applications. And we're going to admit probably around 6,200 students. We have 25,000 applications.
And how many are we going to admit?
About 6,200 will be in our freshman class.
Oh, 6,200, not 6,200.
No.
6,200.
6,200.
My hearing, okay.
So right now, our
Without further interruption, would you continue?
so this year our acceptance rate is around 63%. It's been a bit higher in previous years.
It has been higher in previous years.
But when you accept 63%, you don't get a lot of those students.
And out of that number, are there people that we accept that just don't come? Is that included in the drop
Yeah,
from
yes, sir.
25,000 to, out of the people who want to come, do we know how many get to come?
Yeah, so for instance, last year we accepted somewhere between 65 to 68% I don't know the number exactly, and we enrolled a little over 6,100 freshmen. We had about 24,000 applications. So that gives you an idea of how many we accept that do not ultimately enroll at Texas Tech. That's common at all universities.
Well, I'm sure they're applying at 4 or 5 places when they apply, so,
Probably at least.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I use the same one.
President Skubinak, what are you seeing on the trend line with regard to GPA and SAT scores on these applications that are
Okay,
being accepted?
so last year, our SAT of the freshman class was, I think, 1167. And our admitted students this year, it's running around 1250, 1255, something like that. But see, we don't get all those students. And then also, when we go into that wait list and we look at the holistic review, you'll see it drop as the year goes on. But last year, we had a record freshman class, and the SAT was higher than the previous year.
Well, and you've also gone up significantly on national merit finalists, haven't you?
Yes, Regent Walker. Last year, we had 26 national merit. The year before, 17. But you go back 5 years ago, we had 4. So we're going to try to always recruit 20 to 25 a year.
Do you attribute that to leadership?
I'm sorry?
Do you attribute that to leadership?
The answer is yes.
No, there's a simple explanation for that. It's called money. Scholarships. That's what gets those
Mr.
students.
Hammonds, I thought that correlated with your time on the board. Thank you, President Skubinak. Dr. Mitchell, please present your Texas Health Science Center presentation report.
We can get this
Yes.
up and running.
We have a flight at 1 o'clock.
Exactly. Here we go. Just for the audience, the genesis of all of this was the recent admissions scandal that occurred nationwide, and we received a letter, the Regents all received a letter from Governor Abbott, and for the benefit of the group here, the letter read, "Dear Regent, last week federal prosecutors in Boston charged 50 individuals in an elaborate and widespread admissions bribery scheme at elite colleges and universities. So the governor was asking board members to examine admissions policies and procedures to ensure that employees are not engaged in any type of fraudulent schemes or quid pro quos to get students into our various programs and schools." And so for the audience, that's the genesis of this. We had the opportunity yesterday to present this in more detail in executive session, and this represents the highlights of what we discussed at that time. For the health sciences centers for both the HSCs, the majority of our programs are professional programs that require professional certification after graduation. I think we have a total of 17 different professional degrees that we give at the Health Sciences Center. And just as a quick reminder to everybody, we've got 5 different schools at the Health Sciences Center, headquartered here in Lubbock: the School of Medicine, the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, School of Nursing, School of Health Professions, and School of Pharmacy. And if you look at this from what I would consider the fail-safe mechanisms of what we have, these are graduate level studies, programs that we put together that we offer the degrees in. They have statewide admission systems for many of these. So what happens is the students themselves, as they apply through a central area in Austin, and they know, the students get immediate feedback on the various schools around that may be perhaps easier to get into. So they know, the students all know kind of who's who in the zoo when it comes to what's going on around the state. These programs are all extremely competitive. You will oftentimes have thousands of applications coming in for hundreds of slots in an area. So again, the students are very well aware of what's going on around the state because they've applied to all the different programs. So one of the first layers that you have is the students themselves seeing how the admissions are going around the state. In the second area, and I'll put these here in just a little bit different color, if you look at the admissions procedures themselves, the admission standards are set at the individual school level, not at the university level. So health professions within their area, they'll set their own standards for their admissions. School of Medicine will set the standards for their own admissions, School of Nursing, et cetera, et cetera. It's not set at a university level where administration and other folks are involved with that. In addition to that, the processes that they put in place, the number of folks they decide to interview, the number of people that they wind up admitting, the scoring rubric they use. Again, those are all set at the school level, not at the university level. And then the decisions themselves are set at the school level, not at the university level, through admissions committees. So they'll have admissions committees made up of faculty and very often students that help to determine the scores for these students that are the candidates coming in. If there is input that comes in, and we actually welcome input coming from anybody, but if there is input coming in from an outside source, somebody says, I love Texas Tech and I have a great candidate here, that is treated as another letter of recommendation and nothing more to go into the applicant's file. Then finally, one of the things that's extremely important to remember is that because these are professional programs, each of these programs, above and beyond SACS, which is the university accreditation, each of them have separate accreditation bodies. And these accreditation bodies, when they come in, one of the things that they do is they audit admissions processes. And there are very good schools, and I'll use as a school of medicine as an example, very good schools of medicine that have recently been put on probation for this very reason, with the perception that there was an outside influence beyond the admissions committee on somebody getting into those schools. And so you've got different layers then of security and fail-safes to make sure that people aren't monkeying with the system. Now, once they are recruited, once we know the students that we're going after, then it's a different ballgame. Because then we really, and Dr. Skubanek mentioned this, we really do start working on focusing on those individuals that we're trying to really bring into the system. And just to finalize this, and just as a reiteration of what we're trying to do at the Health Sciences Center, we're really pushing on a values-based culture that we want to develop there, and one of the foundational values of that is integrity. And this is when we're trying to train professionals to take care of human beings moving forward, one of the fundamental principles that they need to have is integrity, and that starts on the front end, as far as I'm concerned, with us. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Questions?
The thing that I read that where some of the scandal took place was actually either changing test scores or having someone take the test for you. And that responsibility for that appears to primarily lie with the testing companies. I'm assuming after a score is reported to us, there's some way to get inside a computer and change it. And do we monitor that? And are we talking to the testing companies about what they're doing to make sure that nobody's taking a test for somebody else or the score is getting changed?
You know, I have no idea about that part of it, Regent Hammonds, and I guess, Dr. Rice-Spearman, do you know anything about that with any of the scores for you?
Our students have a pretty rigorous screening process when they go to take their exams. They usually have to show multiple forms of identification as well as a picture and verify. And we also have to verify their enrollment now with a picture as well. So there are safeguards.
And I will tell you that the way they do testing now for things like the MCAT, you go to these testing centers that are, you may be having somebody, when we were going through, everybody taking the MCATs all sitting in there together in a big massive room. Now when you do these tests, I may be taking an MCAT and the person sitting next to me is taking the LSAT. And somebody's taking the GRE sitting next to them. So I do know that these testing groups have a lot of fail-safes on their side. Now, I would tell you that I would suppose if you had somebody else taking an MCAT for somebody, and they get a good score on the MCAT, I suppose the fail-safe for us would be when they get here if they have a high MCAT, but they're obviously not capable of the material, then that'd be something we'd notice.
Thank you.
Other question? Dr. Mitchell, thank you for that report. Dr. Lane, please present the Texas Tech Health Science Center El Paso report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. Happy to talk about what we do to assure that we don't have any fraudulent admission activity, and also, more importantly, to talk about how we get the candidates we want that share our mission, Texas Tech University Health Science Center in El Paso. As Dr. Mitchell said, there's a standard application that all medical and dental students fill across the state, a single application that goes out to all the centers that they choose to apply to, and that's the Texas Medical and Dental School Application Service, or TMDSAS. So they submit a primary application, they submit their GPA in that, a secondary application for us, which asks them to explain why they specifically want to come to El Paso. What about our mission resonates with them? They submit their MCAT and letters of recommendation as well. With those, an Office of Admission reviews that. We have 6 trained reviewers that are in continuous quality improvement processes, and they assign scores, a numeric score, to each of those applications. We have about 5,000 people that initially apply, about 3,500 submit the secondary application, and those are the ones that the reviewers actually apply a score to. And they do that based upon these characteristics: quantitative characteristics and qualitative characteristics. And on the basis of this, each of the applications is assigned a score of 0 to 155, the maximum score. From that, we have a specific baseline, and that is if the score is 93 or above, then they are invited for an interview. And we pick that because that is a score that allows us to interview or to ask about 650 people to come to Texas Tech to interview. When they do so, they're scheduled for 2 20-minute interviews by interviewers that are composed of our faculty, our medical students, and the community faculty as well. And by the way, they interview the candidate without any pre-knowledge of what their application looked like. They're not aware of the GPA or the MCAT or what their letters of recommendation said. They just interview the candidate, and they score them based upon their interest and knowledge of healthcare, their personal characteristics, and their problem solving. So that's a second level. Then it goes to the third level. It goes to the admissions committee, and the admissions committee collects both of that information, the primary application and the score, and also the interviewer scores, and on the basis of that, they will rank all 650 people that interviewed on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being highly acceptable, 5 being reject. We would not want them at our medical center. And with each of those categories, they further quantitate them. So at the end of the day, we end up with a quantitative score for all 650 people, and they are ranked and admitted in that order. Now, one of the things I think you'll notice is nowhere in here does the dean appear or the president of the Health Science Center appear. We have no involvement at all in the admission process. It's actually very independent, again, through 3 layers, and very standardized. All the students across the state are ranked into a central computerized system. They rank which medical school they want to go to. We rank which medical students we want. And on match day, those things are all combined. So the students are assured that it's fair across the board. Now, I hope what I've convinced you of is showing that our process is rigorous, it's unbiased, it's inclusive, it is in fact very transparent, and it's holistic, and allows us to get the quality of students that we want. And as apropos to a previous question about how our candidates rank, our candidates, the ones we accept and they're accept our invitation to join the medical, have an average GPA of 3.8 and an MCAT score of about 509, which puts them about the 80th percentile. So it's a very good and rigorous process. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for President Lane?
Mr. Chairman, in response to Regent Hammond's question, I've been informed that about 40% of our students will be admitted through the assured pathway. About 60% will go through the review process.
Thank you.
Good to know. So I want to say thank you for those reports. I think you, and especially to your teams that helped put those together, I think Governor Abbott was asking a very valid question, and I appreciate the work and the level of detail we went into to give him and give us and everyone in the state of Texas assurance that we're doing it right. So thank you very much for that. So next we'll hear from our student government presidents. Braden Woods, would you present the SGA report for Angelo State University?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Before Braden gets started, that Braden has been a rock star at Angelo State. He served as an internship with Congressman Conaway. And I want you to know that, you know, we have our own legislative team for the Texas Tech system down there. Of course, the presidents go on occasion, but I have a secret weapon in Braden. He knows a lot of the senators sitting in the Texas Senate as well as anybody in this room, and they know him. And so he's been an outstanding guy, and the students really look up to him, and he's served as a lot of leadership. We're very proud to have Braden on our team.
Braden, the bar's set pretty high now, so
Thank you, President May. And
welcome.
You may want to make a run and jump here, Star.
It's kind of like a butterfly and a blowtorch, just get at it.
Brian, you could do that at the end. That would have, sorry, but.
it's hard standards to follow now.
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Chancellor Mitchell, like President May said, my name is Braden Woods. I'm an incoming senior, a political science major with a minor in leadership studies. And so today I'll give you the report about what we accomplished at SGA at ASU and what our future plans are upcoming. So again, what the state of SGA is and upcoming initiatives. For our next executive team, my Vice President, Austin Haubecker, none of them were able to make it today, but I still wanted to give their introductions and kind of recognize them for their work that they're going to do and have done for SGA. Our President Pro Tempore, Dylan Sanders, our Senate Clerk, Randy Obermiller, and our Senate Parliamentarian, Jordan Thomason. Both our Senate Clerk and Parliamentarian are both in the ROTC program, so they're both doing 2 leadership roles right now, both in student government and ROTC, and are on track to commission, I believe, next year in the United States Air Force. And then our SGA Secretary, Daniela Favela. So for the state of SGA, what we've accomplished, we've had 25 pieces of legislation filed for the 90th session, which in every record that I've looked back makes us one of the most active student government sessions at ASU. For the Texas Tech System Day, we had 10 students go with us to both advocate for the Texas Tech system and for ASU. And just this past month, we had our 27th annual Rammies Awards ceremony where we had over 375 students in attendance, and we recognized student organizations and all the work that they've done both in the community, on campus, and just all over. We've had organizations go outside of the state of Texas to fulfill some of their community service projects. And then, as Shayna said at our last board meeting, was for our HPV vaccine event. We gave over 75 free HPV vaccines to the student body at ASU. And for the next board meeting, I'm hoping to have the report for the next dose, as it is a 3-round dose vaccine. And so hopefully I'll be able to have how many students came to get their 2nd dose and their 3rd dose.
Braden, how do y'all get funds for those?
So those funds, it comes from ASU, and we also look at Shannon Clinic, West Texas Medical Center, so we have a large donor. We also work with the state of Texas with La Esperanza Clinic as well, which is a nonprofit. And with that, we have vaccines both for students that are non-insured, and if they're insured, then we utilize those funds as well. So we both cater to every student that needs to have that vaccine. Here are some pictures from last year. That top left corner is some of the HPV vaccines shot. The bottom left is from our Rammy ceremony, one of the award groups. The selfie right there with our ASU mascots in the Texas Capitol. More Rammy shots and outside the state capitol where we were with administration, and we just had a great time at the Capitol, at the Rammies. It was a great time. We enjoyed all of it. A lot of walking, but like President May said, you get used to that if you go to DC as well. So the suits fit a little better now. Upcoming initiatives, we're working on bringing scooters on campus. Texas Tech has them on campus, and we're just trying to bring those initiatives on campus at ASU to help both support our international students who might not have mode of transportation to kind of get around the community, get around campus. We're collaborating with ASU Counseling Services. I recognize, and my executive team both recognize, that mental health is a huge issue, both on campus and off campus, and we want to work with our counseling services to make those services aware to our student body. What they do right now is great, but we want to kind of work with them to bring their services up to a level that we feel is necessary for our student body. We're working with the Office of Risk Management for emergency call boxes. We already have call boxes strategically located around campus, but we just want to kind of look at that locations where they're at and see, as we are a growing campus, we might need to relocate or add new locations to those call boxes for safety of students. And then we're increasing our dual credit and retention rates with the Student Affairs and Enrollment Management Office, and we're also looking to expand our internship opportunities for all students. Myself and the Vice President, Austin, were both, we were given the opportunity to go to DC to work in legislative offices and get that experience, which is what people are looking for when we're going to get hired. And so we want to expand that to all students, not just certain departments or anything like that. And so we're looking to expand that program as well. So again, today I talked about what the state of SGA is at ASU and upcoming initiatives for this upcoming term. Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to thank you for your work on mental health.
Thank you, sir.
For your internship opportunities, are you looking across for students of all majors, or primarily just for the folks that are looking to pursue a career in government?
Yes, ma'am. Austin's actually a computer science major, and so he learned pretty quick that it didn't matter what major you had in anything in government. They still have computers, they still have IT problems, and so we want to expand it to everywhere and look at getting career development on campus involved with that internship to not only expand it to DC or Austin, but to expand it to either community partners.
Maybe NASA?
NASA would be pretty. I've been to the NASA Center in Houston, and it was a good tour. So, but definitely expanding it to all majors, every student. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Braden, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Very good.
David Rivera, please present the SGA report for Texas Tech University.
Mr. Chairman, if I could make a couple comments about David. So David was elected this spring as our new president of the SGA, replacing Sean Lewis, who did a wonderful job. He's from Lovington, New Mexico, seeking a degree in finance. When he was elected SGA president, I received a note from Judge Don Maddox, who I think is in the back
He's
of the
here.
room.
Yes, he's in the back.
And he said, he said he knew David, his family, and he spoke so highly of him. And I responded to Don, and Don wrote back and said, well, he's a really good kid. And we know that because he also works in our office. He works for Noel Sloan, our CFO, and he's going to do a great job for us.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. Chairman Huckabee, members of the board, Chancellor Mitchell, Provost Gallion, President Skubanek, thank you so much for affording me the opportunity to be here this morning to address you all. My name is David Rivera, and I will be serving as the 97th President of the Student Government Association at Texas Tech University. I'd first like to begin by introducing my fellow executive officers. As mentioned, I will be serving as student body president. I am majoring in political science and finance, and I'm from Lovington, New Mexico. Miranda Davis, who is our external vice president, is here with us this morning. She's from Wichita Falls, and she's majoring in political science. Emily Garcia and Avery Aiken are unable to be here with us today, but Emily is serving as our internal vice president. She is a public relations major, and she's from McKinney, Texas. Avery Aiken is about to begin her second year of law school, and she's from the Woodlands. Although we have many initiatives that we'd like to work on this upcoming year, we are focused on 4 main pillars. First is academics. Our team has been working very closely with Provost Gallion this previous year, on a centralized attendance system for quite some time now. Our students are actually paying extra on top of textbooks just for attendance applications. And so I'd like to actually thank Provost Gallion for being so proactive on this issue that does affect a large percentage of our student body. Second is student wellness. After working very closely with this past year's Student Government Association, it's proved to be one of the overall themes for this past year. We're looking to continue that trend and focus on the full aspect of mental wellness, whether that be mental health, financial instability, or food insecurity. So we'll be working with student affairs to ensure that we are being proactive about the students' needs here on our campus. With food insecurity specifically, the Swipe Out Hunger program affords Texas Tech students the opportunity to actually impact the lives of fellow Red Raiders who do experience food insecurity. Third is transportation. We would like to work towards fostering an even stronger relationship and partnership with transportation and parking services on a few initiatives, and one of which is offering students alternative parking passes here on campus. And lastly, professional development. Our team is looking for ways to allow students to get hands-on professional development experience that is in line with their major, not only on campus, but right here within the Lubbock community. In the event that they don't have the luxury or the means to either travel across the state of Texas or across the nation for that matter. And so this is just another way that we would like to take care of our own here as Raiders on campus. We're also very focused on engaging our student body with the various tools that we have with social media nowadays, and we'd like to actually see what the needs of our student body are more on a personal level. As our campus continues to grow, we think that thinking of more innovative ways that we can be in better contact with our student body. So we are going to be exploring a number of different avenues, from revamping our entire social media platforms, live streaming our student senate meetings, and utilizing Instagram stories to engage the over 38,000 students that we have here on our campus. Since this is a fee-setting year, the Student Government Association will be working very closely with Noelle Sloan in Administration and Finance and Vice Provost Kathy Durand with Student Affairs to take a deep dive into current fees that students are being charged and figure out ways that we can expand on the services that we already do provide for students, while also being good stewards to our students and their money. So with that being said, that's all I have for you all today, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
David, can you elaborate a little bit on this attendance application?
Yes, sir. So this is an application. I don't know if you're familiar with Top Hat or clickers of that sort. So in larger lecture classes, in an effort to take attendance for students, there are faculty that require students to purchase an additional attendance application, such as Top Hat or clickers. It can cost anywhere from $40 to $100 on top of textbooks already. But as I mentioned, Provost Gallion and his team, we're already working on a centralized attendance system so that students can utilize that and hopefully can keep a little bit more money in their pockets at the end of the day. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm not sure whether my question is for you or for the administration. At Tech and ASU presentation talked about utilizing the various forms of scooters that are pretty prevalent on our campus. Have our safety issues or have accident issues increased meaningfully with this use? Is there anything that we should address relative to safety?
I know there have been some incidents involving the scooters. Noelle, you probably have a better knowledge of the data.
So, there have been some incidences. I don't think that it has increased. We always have some incidences during the year with bicycles or, sometimes even pedestrians on their phone and not watching where they're going. So there's I wouldn't say that we've seen an increase, but what we do see, and the President can elaborate on this, but as the campus grows, there's been a lot of discussion on how we can move the buses more off, kind of in front of the student union, make the buses a more one internal, one external route, just because we need to decrease traffic flow to increase pedestrian safety no matter what mode they are, foot, scooter, or bike.
Other questions?
And
What we've looked at Angelo State, as Braden said, we hadn't implemented that, but we have looked into safety as it relates to downtown urban areas here in Texas. San Antonio has a large scooter program, and so does Austin. And the accident rate is horrific. And so, because when you have very small wheels like that, any impediment, just a small stone or crack in the sidewalk, can derail that scooter very fast. So as we move forward and look at this, we're going to have to look at, maybe some type of safety precautions. I don't know if we're talking about headgear or whatever, but we've had some of our own students that have had some pretty bad accidents in Austin and in San Antonio.
Dr. Skuvanek, as a former student government president, I'd like to say after hearing the last two presentations and the average SAT scores, I'm glad I got in and out when I did. Both are extremely, extremely impressive, but one thing that was not shared is I also believe in all of our years of SGA, you're the first Hispanic student to serve in this capacity, and I'd like to tip my hat to not only you, but to the student body as we've worked to become a Hispanic serving institution. You are an incredible testament to the effort of those of you sitting out there and to the board that previously served. So my hat's off to you, sir.
Thank you.
Regent Steinmetz, thank you very much for making note of that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you.
Toby Saliu, would you present the report for the Health Sciences Center?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Toby, are you going to introduce the other officers?
Yes, I will.
Okay, very good. Toby is a first-year medical student at the Health Sciences Center. She is a Little Elm Lobo. And I know that because I'm a Longview Lobo. And she went to North Texas undergrad. And we have the Wonder Woman group for our SGA officers, all women this year.
Round 2.
That's true, that's true. Jane was in charge of round 1.
Cheyenne
yours.
was.
Oh, that's right.
Good morning, everyone. And as Dr. Mitchell just mentioned, my name is Toby Salyu, and I am honored to serve as the TTU HSC Student Body President. First, I would like to share with you all the highlights of the past sessions. So I'm happy to present to you that there has been a tremendous increase in the amount of legislative pieces that we passed this year. So this year we passed 34 legislative pieces, including congratulatory pieces, which was done to honor faculty members, students, and programs for taking successful initiatives and programs for the school. In terms of operational, we continue to advocate for student safety on our campus, and as most of you know, there are constructions ongoing, and we have made beneficial changes to our student synergistic center just to make sure that students are comfortable in utilizing that space. In terms of scholarship, we granted $80,000 worth of scholarships to 105 students through the Phonathon Scholarship and granted $1,500 to 15 students through the Double T Scholarship. In terms of service, we were able to raise $750 in fundraising through our Pancakes for a Cause and t-shirt sales, and these went towards providing more scholarship fundings for our students. And we also volunteered over 500 hours at various programs and causes on our campus. As for student fundings, we were able to allocate $86,000 to support over 60 student organizations. And I would like to introduce to you all the new officers for this upcoming session. And our VP of Communications is Emily Hecox, and she is a rising second-year medical student, class of 2022, and she is from Schertz, Texas. She enjoys cooking, working out, and traveling, and her goals for the next year is to enhance awareness of SGA and increase student engagement with SGA, promote awareness of mental health resources available to students at TTU HSC. And our VP of Finance is Peyton Presto. And Peyton, she is an MD PhD candidate. She just completed her first 2 years of medical school and will begin her PhD curriculum in the fall. And she is from Coleman, Alabama. She enjoys running, playing the trumpets, and cuddling pets. And her goals for the year is to improve upon current organization funding request forms, increase SGA fundraising activities at least one per semester, promote the transparency of finance committee decisions to the entire SGA. And our VP of Operations is Katarina Keller, and she is a rising third-year medical student, class of 2021, and she is from Bulverde, Texas. She enjoys teaching dance and running. And her goals for the year is to continue to make student government a more visible organization throughout the Health Science Center, enhance a positive environment that fosters student learning, improve student participation in school events, functions, and community outreach. And as I mentioned earlier, I am Toby Salyu, and I am a rising second-year medical student, class of 2022. As Dr. Mitchell mentioned, I am a Lobo from Little Elm, Texas, and I enjoy eating various culture cuisines. I like to say I am a foodie. I love to travel to new places and singing. My goals for the year is to foster an environment that highlights the idea that representation matters and teamwork I aspire to maintain the visibility of TTU HSC Matters to all TTU HSC students and faculty, create more impactful legislation, and uphold the tenets of the TTU HSC value-based cultural values. Promote more SGA engagement with the student body. And as you can notice, our goals sort of align with one another, because overall we're just trying to provide a space for students to feel more comfortable and welcome so that they can be successful in their various health professional careers. And that is all that I have for you today, and I'll be happy to take on any questions that you have for me.
Questions for Toby? Toby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Albert Romero, please present the report for the Health Science Center El Paso.
And Albert, before you do so, let me introduce you. But even before that, Emily looks awfully familiar, and the reason she looks familiar is she's an ASU grad. And Ted and I have been trying to get her to go to our medical since she was a sophomore. I'd visit ASU every year.
As do I.
As did Ted. And the reason why Emily's now an officer is he wanted to parade her in front of me and said, I got her, you didn't. Okay? It's good to see you again, Emily. Let me introduce Albert. Albert is from El Paso, obviously. He had worked as a certified nurse assistant and a certified pharmacy technician at the UMC Medical Center, which is our major teaching hospital. And then after that, he decided to be an avowed bachelor. So avowed bachelor. He got his Bachelor of Mathematics with a concentration in applied mathematics. He got a Bachelor of Science in Physics with a concentration in applied physics, and now he's working on his Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I call that an avowed bachelor, by the way. And the thing that's going to be remarkable about it is our Bachelor of Science Nursing program is a 16-month program. It is incredibly concentrated. And for him to be able to pull this off, to be the SGA president and to meet here and do this in 16 months is really incredible. So Albert, with that, happy to have you here.
Yay. Thank you, Dr. Lang. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. As Dr. Lang said, my name is Albert Romero. I'm going to be entering my second semester of nursing school in 2 weeks. Okay. So I'm just going to go over some of the things that we did as SGA this past year. We held the SGA Awards ceremony. Here we recognize students, faculty, and staff that go beyond what's expected. We also awarded $7,500 worth of scholarships through 15 scholarships at this ceremony. We also announced our new executive officers. The SGA president that was announced here unfortunately had some unavoidable circumstances, so he won't be able to hold that seat this year, so I'll be in his place. We also have Kelsey Van Noy with us this coming year, and I'm really excited to have her because she is coming back, so that experience will be a great asset to us. We also had a booth at the Sun's Health Fair, showing kids how to make slime. I'm sorry I wasn't there, that sounds like a lot of fun. We also had the SGA food drive. With this, we had a collection bin in each college for 1 week. El Paso Fighting Hunger is El Paso's only food bank, and they help distribute food and donations through 3 counties of Hudspeth, Culberson, and El Paso County. We also had the Texas Tech Watch Party for Texas Tech versus Virginia. This was a great thing because it allows a lot of students to come together and just show their school pride, get to know each other. The Gail Grieve Hunt School of Nursing announced what they're calling their pipelines. With this, it's a collaboration between El Paso Community College and El Paso Independent School District, and it's to try to approach the nursing shortage of over 5,000 nurses that they think there will be by 2030. With this, students who are enrolled in the Associates of Nursing program at El Paso Community College will be able to take up to 6 credits simultaneously with Gail Grieve Hunt School of Nursing. And then students in high school will be able to take dual credit to satisfy prerequisites so that they could enter Gail Grieve Hunt School of Nursing directly from high school. Plans for the upcoming year, we have a welcome event planned on August 23rd. That's just to welcome any students that are going to be joining the graduate school, the nursing school, or the medical school. We also plan to put water filters on the fountains across campus. That would be great because I know I spend a lot of money on bottled water, so anything to help any student save money. Another food drive with El Paso is Fighting Hunger. We kept on getting donations a week after the food drive ended, so I would like to extend this one to 2 weeks because the more food we could get to people in need, the better. We also have the annual Corazón de Oro community outreach event. This is an event where students get placed across the city and just offer their help, whether it be help clean something up or even helping in a clinic. We also had match day. We had 99 medical students match. 53% will be staying in Texas, 16 in El Paso, which is awesome, right? 3 will be entering the military and servicing us through them. And that's it. Are there any questions?
Questions?
No? Okay.
Thank you very much. Board will now convene into executive session as authorized by sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Board will recess into the committee room 106 for this portion of the meeting. I do anticipate we'll be in roughly an hour or less, and I do anticipate we will come out with some motions at that time. So we'll be back at that point. Thank you. Convene into open session. Your new chairman has learned a lesson: never predict the time they will spend in executive session. Mr. Lewis, please present the motions regarding the items discussed in executive session.
First motion, Mr. Chairman, is to authorize premium rates for our medical liability self-insurance plan. I move that for medical liability self-insurance, the board authorize Chancellor Mitchell to, 1, set premium rates, 2, abate premiums for our faculty, physicians, and 3, provide an experience dividend to the schools of medicine, all under the terms and conditions set forth in executive session. Do I hear a motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
The next motion, Mr. Chairman, is regards to improve real property located in El Paso, Texas. I move that, 1, the approval of the board issued on May 18, 2018 be modified to authorize President Lang to conclude the negotiations and execute the purchase documents for acquisition pursuant to eminent domain of the property identified in executive session, and secondarily, for President Lang also to be authorized to conclude the negotiations and execute the purchase documents for certain other properties in El Paso as identified in executive session. All other terms and conditions set forth in executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Next motion, Mr. Chairman, is the authorization of naming of an academic unit at Texas Tech University. I move that the board authorize the naming of a unit of Texas Tech University in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in executive session, and delegate to the chancellor or his designee the authority to announce the naming at that appropriate time.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, has to do with the recruitment and retention of Texas Tech University Health Science employees. I move that President Mitchell be authorized to conclude the negotiations and execute an amendment to the agreement with the McChrystal Group for consulting services relating to the recruitment and retention of employees under the terms and conditions set forth in executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And finally, Mr. Chairman, this relates to contractual relationships for fuel purchase services by Texas Tech University.
Mr. Chairman, before we go any further, I need to announce that I must recuse myself from any discussion or action on this matter and formally do so.
Thank you, Regent Griffin, for that. Eric, would you kind of briefly explain to everyone what we're dealing with here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Prior to Regent Griffin taking a seat on the board, the Texas Tech University has had a relationship with Rip Griffin Trucking Services. The city of Houston has a contract with Rip Griffin Trucking Services. City of Lubbock, I'm sorry. City of Lubbock has a contract with Rip Griffin Trucking Services.
I'm open for that relationship.
Let's get that going.
And I'll even recuse myself on that one, too.
I appreciate that. And pursuant to the city's contract, Texas Tech has been able to piggyback on that contract to purchase fuel at a very discounted rate. Now that Regent Griffin is on the board, Texas Education Code allows this relationship to occur as long as he recuses himself from this involvement. So that's what this is here. Our Regents rules need to be tweaked a little bit so that they are in accordance with Texas Education Code, section 51.923. So that's what we're doing here, is just being very transparent and doing what needs to be done. Is just more of a housekeeping matter now that Regent Griffin is on the board.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
I move that the board, 1, revise the Regents rules to be consistent with section 51.23 Texas Education Code by adding the following to the end of the last sentence of section 03032 Regents rules. Except as otherwise permitted by section 0303.5 herein. Number 2, ratify the existence of the current arrangement that was in effect between Texas Tech University and Rip Griffin Truck Service Center, Inc. prior to Regent Griffin taking his seat on the Board of Regents. And 3, authorize President Skovenick or his designee to negotiate and execute a new agreement with Rip Griffin Truck Service Center, Inc. with substantially similar terms to the current arrangement, all other under the terms and conditions set forth in executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, noted with Regent Griffin's recusal. Final item of business is announcements. Two very quick ones. One, congratulations to our regent who is graduating in about 2 hours. Job well done. We're proud of you.
2 hours.
So great job. I told her she had to write a speech to tell us goodbye, but I also told her she could do that at a later date. She could come back and
So I have it.
she actually has
Hear
it.
now or not?
Would you care to make comments? Go ahead.
Sure, I'd love to. As many of you know, it's my last meeting here as student regent, and I kind of wrote a goodbye speech, and I'm going to read off of it so I don't cry. First, what an incredible year this has been. In a short year, I've seen a new chancellor, a new head football coach, new chairman, new regents, and survived most of legislative session. I'm incredibly grateful and humbled for the opportunity that the position of student regent of the Texas Tech University system has given me. When I got the call in early June of last year, I had no idea what this year would hold in store for me. On June 5th, I became lucky number 13 of the student regents after being appointed by Governor Abbott. And say what you want about lucky number 13, I think it's great. Since being appointed, I have learned a great deal and a great number of things about the importance of higher education and leadership guiding it. First and foremost, decisions are difficult. Decisions regarding facilities, funds, and programs benefiting all Texas students like me are not easy. Learning from each and every one of you and watching y'all's leadership styles come together to lead the system forward has really been a highlight in my life. Second, how far we've come in a year as a system has made me incredibly proud to not only be a TTU HSC medical student, but to be a Texas Tech Red Raider. I would not be the leader I am today without the influences of my family, my friends, and all my experiences, and yes, even the bad ones. But I would really like to speak to TTU HSC. I came to the HSC wandering, at least what it seemed at the time, through and into the desert of West Texas. In the HSC, I found a second family in my friends and colleagues. There's one woman that without, I would probably not be at the TTU HSC, my home today. So I wanted to say thank you to Dr. Mimi Zumalt. She really gave that, I'd say, scared young pre-med a chance and always showed and inspired me and told me that grit would lead the way. And so grit did lead the way. It led me going for a senator position in the SGA. It helped me meet Margaret Duran, another woman which I owe many thanks, and worked with her and the VPs and president to make the HSC better. And ultimately, SGA led me to this position to make the whole system better. So in short, while it takes a village to raise a child, it takes an HSC and a system to raise a leader. Not only am I a leader, but my fellow medical students, fellow HSC students, and all Texas Tech system students are leaders. If you take one thing away from what I say to y'all today, please continue to build, coach, train, teach, and inspire all the student leaders in the Texas Tech system, whether it be Angelo State, TTU, TTU HSC, or TTU El Paso. It took one person at the HSC to say, I believe you can do it, and do it here. And then it lit the fire. So I task you to take your fire, take the grit that all y'all have in this room, and spread it to the students of the TTU system. I thank God that He brought me to Texas Tech and that I learned from some of the best. I sincerely want to thank every person in this room for your kindness and your wisdom and your guidance. Mr. Chairman and my fellow regents, thank you for welcoming me to this board and mentoring me this year. I know it's been a little bit of a tumultuous and changing year, but I really do appreciate it. Chancellor Mitchell, thank you for your guidance in helping me to learn to keep my head down and my chin up. I really appreciate it. Dr. May, just remember, when a regent is on board, no matter how bad it looks, it'll all come out okay. It just may take another 45 minutes to an hour to get off a plane. Dr. Lane, thank you for your wisdom and guidance this year. President Skovanec, really thank you also for your guidance and wisdom. I really have appreciated it. To the future student regent, know that you're coming into an amazing family and system. You'll do an amazing job and no doubt make us other student regents proud. We really do believe in you. To our police, thank you for keeping us safe. I really do appreciate you. And then to my parents, my family, thank you for being my rock. I have no words to know how proud I am that I am my parents' daughter and what I am today. I really thank all y'all for pushing me to be the best version of myself. Finally, thank you to everyone here, and remember, you always have a family in Texas Tech. Thank y'all.
congratulations, well done. We've taken you on quite a ride, and you've done just fine. So congratulations on your graduation.
So I actually am graduating today.
Now
what you said.
you are. Now you are. We had to know if
Day's
you
not over yet, Jane.
It's a great point. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. I wanted to say one thing. Thanks to all of you who stayed and all of you who make a difference for Texas Tech all across our university system. What we do matters, and it matters because you're making a difference. So thank you for that. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second. We stand adjourned.